Hi, this is Janice from Space to Relax, and the video you're about to watch is a replay of a live class I taught on Zoom. These classes are free of charge for everyone to join, so please invite your family and friends. They're suitable for beginners and those of you with more Qigong experience. If you're watching this video on YouTube, then please don't forget to hit the red subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos from me. I hope you enjoy the class. Hi everyone, you're very welcome to the class today. And today's class is all about doing some more seated Qigong, and it's in response to a really great question I received from Teresa, who is one of our Space to Relax members. And Teresa asked me what really is the difference between a sitting meditation and a seated Qigong session. So this is what I hope to cover with you all today. So also we had Terry, who sent me a really interesting article this morning. It was from another Qigong teacher who was using seated Qigong in order to teach seniors with dementia and with Alzheimer's. And she was writing all about how much easier they find it to practice from a sitting position, and just to keep the movements really simple, really straightforward. And then once everybody gets the hang of the simple movements, then to kind of build on those and make the movements a little bit more complex if that's what the person is able for and is asking for. So there was these two things came to me more or less at the same time around kind of seated Qigong. So there are a few seated Qigong lessons already in the replays from these live classes, so I would encourage you all to go back over those and have another look at those, because you can add them into a routine. But today what I'm going to explain is the difference between a seated meditation and a seated Qigong practice, and then we'll go through a quick seated Qigong practice together. So in terms of a seated Qigong meditation, a seated Qigong, what difference is between that and a seated meditation? For me, I was kind of thinking about this, and I was thinking, well, with a seated meditation, you're sitting, and most people would imagine a meditation as not moving. So you're sitting, you find a comfortable seated position, and you're not moving. You're breathing, you're maybe doing breathing exercises or working with visualizations in your mind, but you're not moving the physical body other than the in and out of the breath, inhaling and exhaling. But with seated Qigong, what you're doing is you can do that. A seated Qigong can be very similar to a seated meditation in that you don't move. So those of you who are in my Space to Relax paid membership program, lesson 4, which is just quiet sitting, is the title of that lesson. You're not moving at all. You're working with the breath, you're working with your mind, and that's very similar to a seated meditation. However, with Qigong, because you can also incorporate movements into the routine from a seated position, this gives you much more choice and much more flexibility. So you can use seated Qigong practice with movement, which would be, I'd say, the main difference for me anyway. So you can use movement in order to what's called tonify, or bring more chi or energy into the body. You can use those movements to help to discharge or to release waste or sick or what's called turbid chi from the body. And those movements will really help along with the mind and the breath in order for you to be able to do those things. So what I'm going to show you today is a seated Qigong routine, and incorporating the mind, the breath, but also the movement. And I think that's the thing about Qigong, is that it's really just so adaptable, it's so flexible, it suits so many different types of breathing, different types of practice, different people of all ages, of all ranges of movement and flexibility, that it can be practiced by anyone. So that's the real beauty of a seated Qigong practice, is it gives you that flexibility to really just sit and meditate if that's what you want to do, and do a Qigong meditation, or to actually do something a little bit more dynamic with the movement. So make sure you're sitting comfortably to begin with. So generally speaking, for a sitting position, you want to be seated with your back supporting itself. Now, if you feel that your back's going to get a little bit tired with that, make sure you're resting against the back of a chair, but hopefully the chair is kind of fairly upright, that with the back is fairly upright rather than sloping backwards. You want to feel like your spine is really well supported. So if I just turn sideways for you now, just to show you, I'm sitting on a stool, so I have to support my own back, and I'm trying to sit as upright as I can be, rather than it be in a slumped position like this. I want to be elevated here, kind of lifting the rib cage here, and also feeling that the lower back area here is fairly upright, fairly straight, so there's not a curve in the back either one way or the other. So just to swing around again now, and show you that my feet are around hip width distance apart, as are my knees. So I've got this kind of train track parallel alignment going on all the way down from the hips through the knees, ankles and into the feet. And then you can sit either with your hands resting on your thighs, palms facing down or up. But just check that your shoulders are nice and relaxed. So maybe just pick them up towards your ears and drop them, and drop them again. So just check that there's good distance between the earlobes and the shoulders. And then also check that there's lovely length in the back of the neck. So you can do that by tucking the chin back towards the throat. So really, rather than dropping the chin right down, you're thinking of it going back. So I'm thinking of it moving back towards the wall behind me and just tucking my chin in that backwards direction, and then feeling that lovely length in the back of the neck. Now, just as you're sitting there now, I want to show you a couple of things before we begin this routine. So just watch me for a moment. You don't need to move at all. So I'm going to be showing you during this routine a couple of movements where you move the body forward. So you're hinging from the hips. And I want to show you how to do that in a way that protects your lower back. So I'm going to turn sideways on just so you can see. So one of the movements I'm going to show you today is you're going to be just hinging forwards very slightly and bring the arms out towards the front. So as you hinge, you're thinking of hinging from here in the hips. So the lower back area here stays straight. You're not rounding in the back. So if you watch it, you watch my lower back. As I move forward, I'm going to hinge forwards from the hips, and you see how my back stays straight? So not rounding, and then I can do things at the front here with my hand, okay, and then coming back up. So I'm keeping that integrity in the lower spine area. So for any of you with any lower back issues, this is really important and will help to protect your back. So the wrong way to do this would be to lean forward and round in the lower back. So if I do this, it's wrong. So if you see, watch me round in the back and the shoulders, you see how there's that curve, and then leaning forwards. This is putting a lot of pressure on my lower back area here, and it would be very easy, especially when I come up, to pull a muscle. So you want to have this lovely straight back. Now, similarly, I'm going to show you another exercise where you come a little bit further down, and this is only if you're able for it and you feel like you have the back strength and flexibility to do it. So you will come forward again, hinging from the hips, coming forward, keeping the lower back area nice and straight, not rounding in the back, so coming all the way forward, and then we're going to come down to the ground here. Now, when you reach this point here and you're touching the ground, you can then come around and let the head drop down and round in the back a little bit. But then as you come up, keep that lovely straightness in the lower back, hinging at the hips and coming back up again. That's only if you feel able. If you can't go all the way down, just go a tiny amount of distance, just as far as you feel your body allows you to do today. Okay, so now I've done all the talking bit and I've done all the demonstrating bit, so this is the routine. So in your lovely, comfortable, seated position, close the mouth. The tongue rests against the roof of the mouth and the tip of the tongue rests against the back of the upper teeth. Bring a smile to the corners of your mouth and close your eyes. So this first part of the sitting Qigong routine could also be a seated meditation. We're not going to be moving the body apart from the breathing, which is moving the abdomen by inflating and deflating as you breathe in and out. So breathing in through the nose, feel the belly expand. And breathing out, feeling the belly shrink. If you find it helpful, you might want to place one hand flat on the lower belly, just over the dantian area. Dantian is your energy center in the lower abdomen, below the belly button, inside the abdominal cavity. And as you breathe in, if your hand is on your belly, feeling the lower belly, pushing the hand away from you. And as you breathe out, feel the hand moving back towards the back of your body and the spine. Really relaxing in the lower abdomen area. Each time you breathe out, think of your physical body now. Think of any areas that may be holding any tension. And as you exhale, think of them softening, relaxing, releasing. Softening a little more with each exhalation. Relaxing your mind now by simply observing any thoughts that may be coming and going. The mind may be a little busy right now. But just observing those thoughts as they come and go. And each time you feel like you're maybe being a little distracted by those thoughts, bring your mind back to the breathing. In your mind's eye, see the belly rising and falling with the breath in and out. So you could now, when you're practicing on your own, just stay in this position and practice your abdominal breath. Every time your mind becomes distracted, bring your mind to the breathing. And that could be your practice. And that would be more of a seated meditation. However, it's also Qigong. And when you sit in this way, doing nothing, for a period of time, what you notice is that the mind begins to calm down. The physical body starts to release and relax a little more. And you're not having to make anything happen. You're simply breathing and really creating conditions whereby the qi, your energy, can bring itself back into a natural flow and order. So it's almost like it reorganizes itself when you give it the time and the space to do that. So by sitting and relaxing, you're giving it the chance to sort itself out and bring everything back into balance. So you could just sit and breathe. But what we're going to do today is to follow on from that and introduce some movement into our practice. So gently opening the eyes now so that you can see me. Now, for those of you who've been with me for a while as part of these live Qigong lessons or watching the replays, what I would encourage you to do is to go back over all of those replays and look at all the ones that you could possibly do from a seated position, and then you could make up your own routines. There's loads of stuff in there. There are loads of different movements. So I'm just going to show you a few examples now and link them together, just so that you can get this idea of a lovely sense of flow. So flow is the thing that I'd like you to focus on today. So thinking as you're moving, especially the arms and the hands, that you're moving them through melted butter or chocolate. So you're really feeling the air as being thicker and more viscous as you move your arms and your hands as part of these exercises. So beginning first of all by breathing in and just bring the backs of the hands together and up towards the heart center. And then breathing out, just allow the hands to come apart like you're doing a big stretch. Breathing out through your fingertips. Breathing in. And again, bringing the backs of the hands together. And breathing out as the hands come back down. Dropping the shoulders, keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. So this is a lovely chest opening exercise. So breathing in. And now from the heart center, sending the chi out with the breath, thinking of it traveling down from the center of the chest, down both arms, into the hands and out the fingers, creating a lovely stretch. And then as you breathe in, think of the chi entering through the arms and the hands, traveling into the shoulders, down through the center of the body. Breathing out now into Dantian. So at this position, you could either place one hand on top of the other, over Dantian, or you can place your hands on your thighs. Whatever is the most comfortable for you and allows your shoulders to be nice and relaxed. For those of you with any shoulder or neck issues, only go to the range of movement that your body is allowing and is accessible for you today. Breathing in. Breathing out. In your mind's eye, seeing the chi traveling down the arms, out through the fingertips, thinking of your fingernails getting longer. Breathing in. Hands moving through melted chocolate. Backs of the hands come together. Breathing out. When you're happy with this movement, you may want to close your eyes and see how that feels. Breathing in, hands come up. Breathing out. Breathing in, thinking of gathering chi in from your environment and drawing it into Dantian. Breathing in, breathing out, keeping the movement as soft, as relaxed, and as flowing as you can. Breathing in. So not worrying too much about having the exact same movement as me, just doing something that feels natural and relaxed for you. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel that lovely openness in the chest as you extend the arms and the hands. Breathe in and breathe out. Dropping the shoulders. Now moving the chi in the 4 directions. So many of you have done this before. So one palm is on top of the other. And keeping the shoulders down, just breathing normally. Separate the hands, palms facing upwards. And then turning the hands out, nice and slowly. So this is moving and spreading, helping to spread the chi outwards. Now encouraging the chi to rise. Lifting up the arms, keeping the shoulders down. Breathing in and out through the nose. The hands come towards each other, as though they're making an upside down V, level with your forehead. And then drop the shoulders, bring the elbows together. Palms are a few inches apart, and come down now through the center of the body, through the midline, encouraging that downward movement of chi. So for those of you in the Space to Relax program, this is the circles exercise, which is lesson 3. You get much more detail in the program of how exactly this method works for you. So drawing circles nice and slowly. The slower you go with this, the better. And together, drawing the chi in, drop the shoulders here, drop the elbows, and then think about moving the hands down. By dropping the shoulders first, this encourages that lovely relaxation in the shoulder area, which is often the area that we accumulate our tension in when we're very stressed. And lifting in the hands. So not really thinking too much about making the chi move anywhere. This movement of your arms and your hands will just create the conditions and allow the chi to move in these 4 directions. Out, up, in and down. So all you have to do, as you're practicing this movement, move the arms and the hands, breathe in and out through the nose using your abdominal breathing, and enjoy the lovely flowing sensations that you're creating through this movement. So there's no forcing, there's no making things happen. You're just experiencing this lovely, smooth, flowing action of your arms and the hands. Not forgetting to smile, dropping the shoulders. And then just coming to rest with one hand on top of the other, resting in your lap. Now we're going to bring in that forward movement. So this is where you want to make sure that your lower back is protected. So remember, hinging at the hips, keeping the lower back straight, not rounding in the lower back, so that you're preventing any damage from occurring. And we're coming forwards with the hands now. So you'll spread the hands apart and then think of the backs of the hands moving forwards and hinging at the hips. And when you reach the front with both your hands, turn the palms to face each other. So a bit like the circles exercise, going up and down, but in this case you're going forwards and backwards. So now drawing, hoping to draw chi into Dantian. So again, spreading and forwards, hinging at the hips, only as far as is comfortable for you to go. Turning the palms to face each other, drop the shoulders, and coming back to upright. So it's almost like the movement of your shoulders backwards as you sit up straight draws the arms back and the hands back towards Dantian. Here the movement of the hips forwards sends the arms forwards. So it's as though everything is connected. Now you may want to incorporate the breath here or not. So have a go with this and see what feels comfortable for you. If you're doing it very slowly, you may want to just breathe normally. Otherwise, as the hands come forwards, breathe out. And then as you draw the hands back towards the body, breathe in. So if you want to keep this movement slow, you may need to breathe more often. If you're very comfortable with doing slow breaths, this speed may suit your breathing. Breathing in. And now if you're happy with this movement and the way it looks, you might want to close the eyes. And again, have this idea in your mind's eye of your hands moving through melted chocolate. Soft and smooth and silky. Like you're swimming through silk. Keeping that lovely smile on your face. Enjoying this movement. And just one more now. And resting one hand on top of the other, over dantian, over your lower abdomen area. And gently opening the eyes. And continuing straight on now to the last part of the seated Qigong session. We're going to now bend forwards again. So this time now, moving the hands out to the hips. Fingers facing down towards the knees. So run the hands down the sides of your legs, only as far as you can go, hinging at the hips, keeping the integrity of the lower back. And then looking towards the floor as you come further down. And then drawing the fingers around the outsides of the feet, around the toes, coming along the insides of the feet now, and up the insides of the legs with the hands. So now, with the breath, breathing out, encouraging the chi to move down the legs, around the toes, and now breathing in, drawing the chi back up towards dantian. Breathe out. And if you're very comfortable with your lower back, you can let the whole of your head and neck go very loose as you come forward. Breathe in. If anyone has issues with blood pressure, you may not want to let your head drop down lower than the level of your heart. So you can stay here and come round and up. So there are lots of variations for this exercise. Please don't do anything that makes you feel dizzy or uncomfortable in any way. And coming back up to dantian. Close the eyes, one hand on top of the other. And for a moment, just breathing in to dantian. Feel the lower belly expand. Breathing out, feel the belly shrink. So, always finishing your practice by consolidating the movement of chi and really bringing your mind focus back to dantian with a few abdominal breaths. And now keeping the eyes closed, bring the hands together, rub the palms until they get really, really hot. If you're wearing glasses, take them off. And now place one palm over each eye, fingers facing up towards the ceiling. Feel the heat from the palms going into your eyes to nourish them, through the back of the eyes to nourish the mind. And now, giving your face a little face wash, a little rub. And as you do so, gently opening your eyes to bring yourself back into the room. So that's a little bit more of a variation on seated Qigong than you've had so far from me. But what I would say, as I said earlier there, is go back over some of the previous live lesson replays. You'll see there is loads you can do from a sitting position. So you can do all of those Qi circulation exercises that I just showed you there. You can also do ones where you're flicking off at the fingertips to get rid of any waste or turbid Qi. You can do the holding the Qi ball exercise, which was a Qigong recharge exercise on one of the live classes. There are many, many different types of things you can do with your arms and your hands, with the legs as well. You can do ankle exercises, you can work with things to do with the knees, you can be lifting the legs to give yourself a little bit more leg strength. There are many different variations, so I would encourage you to just have a look back through some of my previous live lesson replays or any other Qigong that you might have experience with and see what you can actually do from a seated position. And so that really, for me, is to answer Teresa's question, is the difference between a seated Qigong practice and a seated meditation. You have that range of movement. There's so many movements that are available to you. You have that choice to be able to do them within Qigong, whereas with seated meditation, I would tend to think of it more as a sitting position where you're not moving so much. But Qigong is nearly always, it's a moving meditation because there's always some movement because you're breathing. So as always, if you have any questions for me, then please email me. My email is janice@spacetorelax.com, or you can leave a message in our free Facebook group, which is Space to Relax Free Qigong Group. Also, as you know, these classes are free, but if you enjoyed the class today and would like to donate, I'll put the link to the donation page in the live lesson replay that I'll be sending out. And half of the donations go to the nurses here in the ICU ward in my local hospital. The other half goes towards the upkeep of my website. So I would encourage you to try a few different movements within your seated position. Find ones which work for you, ones that you really like to do, and please share them with me and with the Facebook community if you're on Facebook, and let everybody else know what you're doing because they may want to try them too. So I do hope you enjoyed this lesson, and for those of you who are joining me next week, please look out for the class next week, but also in your email I will be putting some kind of offer together for those of you who are not yet members of Space to Relax but may want to join. I'll do something for Black Friday, so I'll be putting something together for you next week. So I look forward to seeing you in the class next week, and bye for now. If you enjoyed this Qigong lesson, then there are 4 things you can do right now. The first thing is to head over to my website, which is spacetorelax.com, and there you'll see that you can join up for a free 3-part video series. The second thing you can do is click the link next to this video to sign up for the live Qigong classes, as I teach these once a week. The third thing you can do is go over to Facebook if you're on Facebook and look for Space to Relax Free Qigong Group. That's my free group where you can post any questions, and please do join the group. And the fourth thing is, if you're watching this video on YouTube, then please hit the red subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos from me. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson and look forward to seeing you in the next video.